Hey there, comic book fans. I just walked in the door from my local comic shop. Figured I'd make my video since I like to make them right away. This week was an 8 comic book week. Should have been 9, but they shorted me on Imperium. That just means that Diamond didn't bother to send the 2 copies my local comic shop orders to the comic shop, so they have to get them in next week or whenever. So it was, what was it, $24 a week, which is just about, I usually like to spend around $20. Last week, of course, was an expensive week with the oversized hardcover, but it was this week I got 2 number 1s, including this one, Limbo, which I have no idea what it's about because I ordered it a month ago. Usually, when I get a final order cut-off email from my comic shop, and I can just click on a link and order whatever comics I want. So when I see a new number 1 from Image, I'll look it up online and see if I'm interested in it and order it. Then, a month and a week later, I do not remember at all what it is. In fact, I don't even remember looking at this. I haven't even looked through this yet. So, pretty nice artwork. I'm sure I looked at it online and said, pretty nice artwork, $2.99. Jason Aaron writing. I'll give it a... Oh, no, the other one I got is Jason Aaron writing. This is Waters and Wingard. Who I don't know either of them. Jimbo, that's the name of it. Or Limbo, pardon me, in case you can't read that crazy logo. But anyway, last week I stuck a couple extras on. Paper Girls number 2 and Saints number 2, which I wasn't expecting to pick up, but did it on impulse. And I must say I liked both of them. I liked Paper Girls number 2 a lot more than I liked issue number 1, and therefore put number 3 on my list. It still hasn't made it fully on my pull list yet. And the same with Saints. I ordered issue number 3 of the Saints. And the other number 1 I got last week, Monstrous number 1. I ordered the second issue of that. So all 3 of those I liked. They're not totally on my pull list yet. I'm going issue by issue on them for the moment until I can figure out exactly what I can afford and put on my pull list. And matter of fact, the Rasputin number 10 that I got last week, I'm not sure, but I think that was the last issue of Rasputin. I don't know. I tried looking up. It read very much like a last issue. There was a very Tinkerbell moment in it where Rasputin was like, well, it is up to you. He's talking to some character. If my story continues. And I was like, and then the story ended, and I was like, that read a lot like a final issue, but nowhere does it say final issue, but I don't know when the next issue is coming out. But anyway, if anyone knows if Rasputin is continuing or not, let me know. But there's Limbo number 1. Now I'll show you the other number 1. Here is the one Jason Aaron wrote, The Goddamned, number 1, Before the Flood. Something to do with biblical, and I think there's an old, Cecil B. DeMille saying when making Bible stories, first you show them the sin, and at the end show them a little redemption. And I think this is a book that's going to be showing us the sin of mankind. Back when all sorts of crazy things roamed the earth. Lots of violence there. So, I said I'd give this one, how much was this one? This was a $3.99 book, but it's a little extra thick. It's not as big as something like the Monstrous, but, we'll give this one a read, see how it is. I like Southern Bastards a lot, so I'm giving Jason Aaron another chance, so I'll let you know how The Goddamned is. Speaking of Southern Bastards, there we go. Issue number 12. Kill Ya, I guess. I bet that's some sort of football team logo that's supposed to be. Because Southern Bastards is all about high school football, crime in a small town, and people who are not always very nice and not living on the nice side of life. But I've enjoyed Southern Bastards for its whole run. I'm going to keep going with it. If you like a little taste of crazy southern town life, then check out this one. And next, we have the Autumnlands number 7. Autumnlands is back, and this is feeling a little thin. They must have switched over to that 22-page format. I noticed that a few comics have been doing that from Image lately. There's two formats they use. There's the 22 page and the 24 page and the 32 page formats. They go by 8 pages. And usually they both have 22 pages of story, and the 32 page format has letters pages and maybe house ads for other Image comics. But I noticed a few of them, like Autumn Land's Invincible, is the same way. I think it's the $2.99 books. They give you the 24 pages, same amount of story, same 22 pages of story. But, there's no back matter in it. There's no ads. There's no letters pages. It's just kind of stripped down 24 page comic. You can, like I said, just touching it, you go, oh, this one's a little thin. But like I said, it's the same amount. I'll take it. I don't need all those ads and back matter and stuff if it keeps the price down. But anyway, Autumn Lands is back. This is another reason I have to. It's tough to budget the old pull list because I buy so many of these Image books that take hiatuses, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have to fill in. I have to get something that week for the. And next thing you know, all the books come back from the hiatuses, and you got too many books on the old pull list. So I don't think I'm at that point yet, but it can get tricky with these hiatus books, and all of a sudden my pull list can go to 12 issues for 1 week, and I'm like, how did that happen? But I'm only at 8 issues this week, so everything is still good. Autumn Lands, number 7. And here we go with Birthright, issue 11. See, this is I can tell just by feel, this is a 32-page one, so it must have back matter. You can see it's got the ads and the letters page in the back. But Birthright has been a good fantasy story about our hero who's turned into a villain and his little brother who might become a hero or he might become a villain. And it's actually a pretty nice cover. I must say that a lot of these Birthright, I've said I haven't liked a lot of these Birthright covers, though the art is always good in the interior. I must say I like this cover. It's got a lot of nice color and texture to it. I wonder if it's that same guy who usually does it, or the interior artist who is the artist? What's his name? Andre Bresson. I wonder if that's his cover. I cannot tell from that signature one way or the other. But either way, that's a pretty nice cover. I'm enjoying Birthright. There's another one that takes hiatuses, but it's bad. I'm probably going to give this issue and the next, and then a hiatus. This one goes on hiatus. It's 4 or 5, I don't know. But anyway, Birthright's an excellent comic. Check it out. And then we have The Walking Dead number 148, No Turning Back. That's a pretty neat cover, too. Mostly black with that dramatic human being wearing zombie skin on her face and crying cover. I must say, that's one of the more striking Walking Dead covers. Walking Dead can be another budget buster with its summer when it comes out every 2 weeks sometimes. Oh, there's a big gun showdown at the end of last issue. Don't want to spoil how it came out. But we all know The Walking Dead. It's a hit TV show that 16 million people watch and a comic book that 80,000 people buy, but I still like the comic book better. So, read yourself some Walking Dead. And then comes The Wicked and the Divine, issue 16. I believe there's this and the next issue are the only ones with our guest artist. And then, who is it? McKelvey comes back. Is that who the artist is? I can't. Jamie McKelvey, Terry Gillian. Jeez. I really should know these names since I read it. But finding freaking credits in these modern books is a nightmare. I don't know. But it looks like we've got Del Duca. Yeah, McKelvey, I think, is the usual artist. I think he's been doing a little short stories in the back as he's off drawing Phonogram with Gillen. But Wicked and the Divine, I must say, I don't know if I've been a little disappointed with these fill-in artist ones or not. For some reason, I'm just not as I wouldn't say disappointed, but I'm just not excited about them. It's kind of like the book is on hold. They're in no way bad. They're interesting. But without the co-creator McKelvey on the book, you know they're not really going to push it forward. So it's an interesting little thing where they decided to do Phonogram for 6 months. So I have 6 different fill-in artists, and it's just I'm just not used to it. I think like I said, I don't think they really pushed anything. All these issues have just kind of been They're not in no way bad, but it just seems like they're spinning their wheels. But oh well. That's if it keeps the sales up on The Wicked and the Divine better than a 6-month break would, I'm all for it, because I want the book to keep selling, because I want to keep buying it. So I guess in the end, if they ever do this again, I'll buy the fill-in artist issues too. And finally, we have Drifter issue number 9. I've very much been enjoying this second story arc. Drifter is just this is one of the books I'm most excited about. It's just a fun read. Weird space story in this weird planet, and it's got the most poetic recap stuff ever. What does this one say? We ran. I spoke to the wheeler, and he did not answer, but he raised his fists to fight and defended us from attack. Rose up so violently it drowned out all of the bad I'd seen before it. A monolith of violence, darker than everything. We ran below the world, and we fought and tried to hide, but in the dark below the engine I was trapped. Another wheeler, the kind with words. I think it offered to kill me. It's got the most poetic recaps in the business, and I really find them interesting, I have to say. But Drifter's been a good book. I almost didn't get it, only because I looked at my pull list, and there was an issue of Descender, which I don't get, and I couldn't remember what was supposed to be there. Then I looked on the shelves, and there was one issue of Drifter. I was like, you put the wrong D book in my pull list. I guess, and they have to find out who that issue of Descender belongs to now, because they don't want him to miss out on his issue. But anyway, very much enjoyed Drifter. I expect to enjoy this issue too. And finally, we'll give you a look at my background art. These are 2 of my covers to comics that don't exist, and they're both kind of ones I did a few years ago, and then they just started redoing. I mean, these ones are both new pieces, but Hypno Love Girls is a series. I did a bunch of covers for these in I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and they didn't quite come out like I liked them. I mean, and then I decided to kind of redo the whole concept and make them a bit more hypnotic and strange and odd. And I like the way this one came out a lot better. And this is my Deep Space series, which are just kind of, strange little covers to stories about exploration of space, and they're all about kind of the loneliness of humanity, because there's usually just one figure on the cover all by himself out in the vastness of some strange landscape. And these ones are kind of a little bit of the opposite of Hypno Love Girls. I did a couple of these Deep Space ones recently, and I don't think I captured in them what I captured in them 3 or 4 years ago, which was just kind of I think I made the figures too big in this, because I think in the older ones the figures were kind of smaller and even lonelier. So, but I don't have one out to show you side by side. But once again, I always enjoy making these comic book covers, so I'll keep on doing it.